Text Me Back, a parasocial journey into the minds of two brilliant and unhinged 40-something women. I'm Megan Hatcher-Mays.
And I'm Lindy West. And that's our brand new tagline, courtesy of Gina Delvac from KCRW, who's never even heard the show. She just met us for 10 minutes at a reception.
It wasn't even 10 minutes. It was, I want to say, 45 seconds. And she's like, oh yeah, what's your show about? And this always happens. People say, what's your show about? And we both go, it's kind of about how we've known each other for our entire lives and we're both really weird. Is that a show? And then she took one look at us and said, oh, parasocial journey into the minds of two brilliant and unhinged 40-something-year-olds women. And I was like, you got it, Gina.
We fell to the floor.
Looks like true. Gina tapped our very essence. Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Queen Gina. So thank you to Gina, because we were writing something dumb and new every week, and it was real hard.
I'm humiliated, Megan, every time someone asks what our podcast is about.
You know what? I feel like this funny thing happens where you're constantly gassing up our show to people, and people ask me about the show, and I'll be like, you don't have to listen to it. Because, I spend a lot of my time with, your DC types, and I don't want to have to explain to people who wear fleece vests for a living about my joke podcast with my best friend about farts and lizards. You know what I mean? I want to talk to other women about it, but I don't want to go to a Hill briefing and have a comms professional come up to me afterward and be like, I listened to your podcast. I'm hopping on that Senate subway and getting the fuck out of there. Don't talk to me about the podcast. Anyway, on today's show, we'll be announcing this week's Snake of the Week brainworm category and reading announcements off our bulletin board, which is just a new concept I invented.
I don't even know what that means.
We're just going to be doing announcements. And then I thought, what's a funny way for people to get announcements? And I was like, oh, bulletin board.
Yes.
I was trying to think of, I feel like there's a funny phrase in the church, but I didn't ever go to church.
You did go to church.
I went to church 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that's more than me.
Yeah.
My
grandfather was a pastor, which is why I never went to church. There was some generational trauma to work out, I think, and I wasn't a part of it. Anyway,
if neither of us has ever been to church, we can make our own church, and we can make up our own name for a little corkboard where you put announcements, and we're going to call it Church News.
God's time.
We're going to call it God's Needs. Because he's looking for a landscaper. He's looking for a dog walker.
God's list.
God's list. Yep.
Yeah, or buy nothing from God. I don't know. I don't know. But first, tidings. Glad tidings. Glad tidings. Glad tidings. Glad tidings. Glad tidings. Glad tidings. Folks, that is our new tidings song. Before we get into our actual tidings, Lindy, hit the people with this news about this tidings song.
You're not going to believe this. So my friend from college, Robert, sent in this tidings song. It's by Georg Handel, who wrote Handel's Messiah. And this is a B-side from Handel's Messiah, and it's called Glad Tidings, and it just says Glad Tidings over and over. So Robert, classical music professional, was like, hey, yo, I found the perfect tidings song. We were overjoyed. You can go listen to it. It's a few episodes ago. But then we were struck with a deep gloom, which is now Georg Handel, he gone. He kicked the bucket.
Rest in power, King.
Hundreds of years ago? 100? No idea.
He might have died before the founding of America. I don't know.
Or in 1899. I truly could be anything from 1 to 1,000 years ago.
It could have been 500 BC. It could have been 1976. Yes. I don't know.
But regardless, we know that the composition is in the public domain, but the recording that Robert sent is by a professional choir. So their vocals obviously are copyrighted. So we were sad. We were bereft. And I think we cracked some joke on the podcast, oh God, I hope this is in public domain so that we can play it. Mm-hmm. And then who should pop back up in the text me B-mail? It's Robert again, chorister. Is like, let me see what I can do. Robert assembled a choir and recorded, I think over Zoom. I think it was a remote choir, recorded a bespoke version of glad tidings for us to use on the show.
That is what he did. He like reached out. He put out a call to the fellow doctor
On
of
God's board.
On God's board. He sent it out over God's list, and he was like, "Attention, fellow German religious composer PhDs.
Yes.
I need my sopranos over here, my altos, my tenors. Holler at me." And he got like 20 people to send in like their little piece.
One of the people, by the way, is Stephen of Segment Pubes fame.
One of the people is Stephen. That's right. Segment Pubes, the composer of Segment Pubes.
Hit it.
Segment Pubes. The mentorship, the connection between those two songs is so obvious once you know.
Yeah, much like the special relationship between Georg Handel and Alexander the Great.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say.
And the first caveman. I was trying to do a callback to our bit about how we have no idea when he's from. Okay.
Princess Diana?
Princess Diana. But I want to acknowledge that we did scandalously use Robert's glad tidings a couple episodes ago without credit because we had recorded the episode already.
Yeah.
Before we even knew that Robert was sending this in. So then when we put the episode out, we had in the interim received the recording and we were like, okay, our options here are to use the illegal version and possibly destroy the podcast, or we could slide in Robert's special secret version.
I think there was a very good chance the podcast would have been destroyed over
yes.
that. I think that's great.
Yes.
All right, let's play the song again and we will get into our actual real tidings. Are you ready?
Glad tidings, glad tidings, glad tidings, glad tidings, glad tidings, glad tidings.
It bangs every time. Bangs every time.
It does.
Lindy, what do you got?
Okay, this is huge news. I've been sitting on this news. So my first tiding is that we have a bear, but not just any bear. We always knew we had a bear, but our bear has graduated from bear classic to habituated trash bear.
Oh, and you know what that means.
There's only room for one habituated trash bear on this peninsula, and she's me.
And her name's Lindy West.
But yeah, we got a very angry email from a neighbor that was like, what we have on our hands now is a habituated trash bear because people are putting... Okay, our little end of the road must be the very first stop for the garbage men because they truly, literally, they come at freaking 5:30 in the morning. Like one time I tried to put my garbage out at 6 and they had come and gone. And I was like, wow, cool. So people are putting their trash out the night before. The habituated trash bear has hit the jackpot. He is just like sitting in the woods, like that meme.
Yeah. Yeah, like that the guy who's
the guy in the bushes
who's like rubbing his hands, like it's both sensual and like he's hungry for something. I really can't get enough.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the best. So the habituated trash bear is doing that meme every week. He's munching, he's throwing people's trash all over the road. And so, some people are like, whatever, there's just it's the woods, there's bears.
Yeah.
There's not supposed to be habituated trash bears, though.
No. I mean, I know we've discussed this before, but this man is out here a yoink your pic-a-nic baskets. You don't want a Yogi Bear and his weird little cousin.
His nephew.
You don't want that. It's one thing if they're just eating trash, but if he's in a bowler hat and a tie now, not good news for the peninsula. Not
Could someone please throw away a pair of trousers so that this bear can cover his junk?
Put it away.
Meagan, one of my favorite things Meagan's ever said on this show happened in I think our first episode. She said, this man talking about a yoink.
You want to know the worst thing about that? I did it the first time and it was really funny the first time, and then we had to re-record it because something else didn't work with the segment, and it was not funny the second time.
It was funny, but
just for my honor, this man talk about yoink.
Now that we have full control over the podcast and the archives, I'm digging up that original take.
Yeah, you find the original yoink. That's important. That's just for Patreon subscribers. It's not for public consumption. Patreon.com/textmebackpod if you want the OG yoink.
But so lest you think that the neighbors are being hysterical. Okay, look, anything could have knocked over your trash can. A raccoon, an enemy. Maybe you PO'd
poacher.
someone. Oh, the
poacher.
poacher. Maybe the boat poacher shot your
Bopo.
garbage can with the gun from the water.
Wrong.
Anything could have happened.
Mhm.
However, I have proof right here in the noggin. I, with mine own eyes, seen the habituated trash bear not once but twice, fleeing the scene of the crime.
With trash?
No, but it was like I saw his fat ass running across the road away from a knocked over garbage
Wow.
can with food scraps everywhere.
This is so serious. You're about to fat shame this man.
It's
Really?
good for a bear to be fat. That's how they live.
Yeah, there's a whole contest about.
There's a whole contest, Meagan.
Who's the fattest and the cutest? Yes, I'm so sorry. Go on.
So I saw the bear run across the road. It was so fast that I could not get a picture of it. A week later, I see the bear run across the road again. Same place. I've seen the bear twice. And then yesterday I received a text from my next door neighbor and she says someone knocked over all the bins, but mine was empty. I'm actually canceling my trash service because it's expensive and I have to drive to the dump anyway to do my recycling. So what am I doing? Plus habituated trash bear? No, thank you. So something knocked over all the bins. She had 2 small bags tied up in her bin. The bags were not ripped open. The bags, there was no evidence of any trash being spilt, but one of the bags was simply missing. Someone has stolen one of her bags, and we're about 3 or 4 miles from where the habituated trash bear is running around. So I'm like, has the habituated trash bear made it all the way down here? Then, right after she sends this text message asking about this trash mystery, who do I see sauntering up the middle of the road, not a care in the world, in the middle of the day, is a little raccoon.
Oh.
A weaselly little, feisty little,
interesting,
sassy raccoon. And then I'm like, is it bad to see a raccoon in the middle of the day that's not afraid of humans? Does that mean
probably you have a habituated trash raccoon?
Well, or we have a habituated rabies raccoon.
Yes. Well, did he have a little bindle with trash in it?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably him then.
He was.
That's your suspect.
He was whistling a mournful tune. Anyway,
that's just hopped the rails.
Yeah.
Taking your neighbor's garbage.
He put one of those hobo signs that says yummy, that says free lunch. Mm-hmm. Okay. My second tiding is a mini tiding.
Hang on.
What?
What's the conclusion to the habituated trash bear? Did you tell your neighbor that you think it was the raccoon? That's your suspect?
No, I don't forget. No, the question of who stole Marnie's garbage bag is unsolved. It's an unsolved mystery. Call Robert Stack. It's
you have seen a bear, chunky, beautiful queen,
yes,
or king.
Yes,
you've seen a raccoon. Those are our 2 suspects, but we don't know at this time who is the criminal.
Correct.
Who did the yoink?
The bear that I saw twice, 1 week apart, was 5 to 7 minutes up the road. So that's probably a couple miles. Okay. So it was hanging around there. Obviously I saw it a week apart. So the idea that it would trundle all the way down to our house to steal one small bag of Marnie's kitchen scraps seems unlikely.
Stay vigilant. Let us know what happens with this mystery. Maybe we'll call Raffle. I don't know if the Raffle Detective Agency has access to bear databases, but maybe we can call our mystery solver and see if he can figure it out for us.
You know who we need?
Who?
The Great Mouse Detective?
Yeah, we do need that. What's your other tiding?
Okay, my other tiding is that I've been sitting on this for a few weeks. I don't know how to tell you this. I don't know how to present it in a way that will communicate the magnitude of what I felt in the moment when I made this discovery. Sorry. Okay. Are you scared?
Yeah. I'm like, are you going to law school? What's happening?
Hell no.
You read a contracts textbook? Oh no. Go to the hospital.
Okay. So I like to always have a audiobook rolling at all times. Yeah. I can't bear the silence.
You do. Just really quick, I feel like you either like it silent or an audiobook, but you don't like to listen to music, but you do know a lot of songs. It's very strange. By the way, I just discovered this about you like 5 days ago. Because I remember we were driving around when I was visiting you a bunch of times ago. We were driving around the woods right before we got our flat. And you were like, I don't really like to have music on in the car. It's like too much noise. I have a problem with like too much noise happening at once. And I was like, yeah, no, totally. And I was like, that's weird. I'm the total opposite. I hate silence. If something's silent, it means everyone's mad. That's, that's kind of like my vibe. And then I was like, yeah, it's interesting. I guess like Lindy doesn't really go to like concerts. She doesn't go to shows, like listen to bands.
No,
You know what I
thank
mean?
you.
Then we were in the coffee shop signing some Text Me Back posters, by the way. And they were playing basically it was like, hey, Lindy and Meagan, we made this playlist for you because you graduated from high school in 2000. And it was like Oasis and No Doubt. And you knew all the songs on that. So then my little mind was whirring. I was like, doesn't listen to music, doesn't go to concerts, doesn't really like bands, knows every song. Fascinating. Fascinating combo. Anyway, please continue.
Thank you for bringing this up. I feel like I have a little bit of I don't like when there's more than one sound happening at once. So I like listening to music in the car alone. But if there's a chance that someone will talk to me while the music is playing, I lose my mind. Yeah, it's terrifying to me. It chills my bones. Because I could have an absolute meltdown and crash the car.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Just from being overstimulated. I also feel like I got overwhelmed by the quantity of bands around 2005. And I was like, I can no longer do this.
Yeah.
And then also, I feel like as I get older, I get happier. But in a way, I also get sadder. And the magnitude of the sadness in the world has made me less and less able to listen to any sort of sad song.
Yeah.
But
Which is all of them.
Also any sort of happy song. Because then I'm like, oh, remember when I was happy? I just feel like music is too close to pure emotion. And I need to have, I got to stay away from that because I am actually very emotional and I'm on the verge of collapse at all times.
Well,
so
yeah, you're very fragile. Music can send you over the edge at any moment.
That's my fear. I don't know that it actually would, but then also it's just like you get out of the habit. And there's also so much, I'm a very like insecure sort of soft person. And there's so much judgment around music. Like if someone asks me what kind of music do you listen to, I want to die because you have to answer them right or else they make a judgment about what kind of a person you are. And I can't handle that.
I've been working on that because I have a lot of musical opinions, but basically where I've gotten is life is too short. I'm not going to go to that concert of the person I think is stupid, but you do whatever you want. It's none of my business.
Yeah.
Are you happy? That's all that matters, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for the digression.
It was an interesting question. But I do, however, like to have an audiobook because I like to transport my brain to a different universe if possible.
Mm-hmm.
It used to always be a fantasy audiobook. That's how I worked my way through the entire Wheel of Time and also every Brandon Sanderson book, even the ones I didn't like. And of course, like many other things, any fantasy book I could get on audiobook. It's just pleasant to always have it playing. I like to fall asleep to it. And then a year or two ago, I switched to mysteries because I like British people solving a crime.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And I like to fall asleep to that. And as you get, to the 3, 4, 5,000 hour mark with the fantasy novels, you start to recognize a lot of tropes and sometimes it becomes hard for my attention to cling.
Yeah.
So with a mystery, you
gotta pay attention.
You gotta know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it's a much easier formula to hold my attention.
Yeah.
And to engross me. But I've recently been hankering for some fantasy. So I've been heading back in that direction, dipping a toe. And one thing I never read, even as a child, was the oeuvre of Terry Pratchett, a legend.
Yeah.
A legend. He wrote like 44 novels in the Discworld universe, which is the world is a disc. And it's sort of like humorous, like comedy fantasy. Solomon Giorgio actually recommended that I get into this.
Me too. And he did give me a copy of one of his books. And I am so sorry, Solomon, if you're listening, but I never did read it. But maybe I will now.
I'm going to give you one little spoiler from this book.
Okay.
Because that's what my tiding is about today. So I finally got around to reading the very first Terry Pratchett Discworld novel. It's called The Color of Magic. And I happened to be listening to this audiobook at the same time that we recorded the crossover episode with TBTL with Luke and Andrew.
Timtle of the Dog.
Of the Dog. So a couple episodes ago. In that episode, I famously recounted the message boards are abuzz with people just reminiscing about when I did this. I recounted seeing this clip of the band Imagine Dragons on Howard Stern singing their terrible hit and it sounding bad. And then I made this joke about how it's such a disappointing band for me specifically because there's nothing I like more than Imagining Dragons.
Mhm.
And then
But not like that.
Mhm. Meagan, can't believe I haven't told you this yet. The same day that we recorded that episode, the same day that I recounted that anecdote to you, Luke, and Andrew, same day, I get to this moment in the book The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett, and I'm going to play you a little snippet right now.
I was very good at it when I was alive. I could imagine up to 500 dragons at a time.
What the fuck?
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
You're talking about Imagine Dragons?
I'm sorry.
Terry Pratchett?
I'm sorry. I've never said the phrase Imagine Dragons before in my life. Until that day.
Yeah.
Until that day that the
That's
algorithm said,
crazy.
here, watch this video. I tell you guys about Imagine Dragons. The same day, my audiobook serves me that.
It's
What
like
the fuck?
you imagining dragons that you'd rather imagine brought you dragons imagined that were better than Imagine Dragons.
Oh my God.
You know?
It's so
It
true.
was a gift you gave to yourself of dragons that you imagined.
Terry wrote those words in 1984 or something.
Mm-hmm.
They went into a little box.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed tight and snug in the box. They traveled through time, waiting for me to open the box just when I needed them.
Yeah.
You know? And then there they were.
And they were right there waiting, right when you wanted to imagine dragons the most.
And by the way, I went and I did 15 seconds of Googling, and Imagine Dragons, the band, as far as Reddit has uncovered, has never mentioned the work of Terald Pratchett and whether or not they were inspired by his.
So we have no idea what that's about.
No, but people on Reddit are like, there's no fucking way they didn't steal this from Terry Pratchett. They're like, there's no fucking way.
Why I oughta.
But there's no proof. And
I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't want to solve this mystery. Nobody contact Imagine Dragons. I don't want them to know we exist. Please.
No.
Please.
Raffle, you sit on those hands. Don't you dare.
You tell Anne to close that laptop right up. The Raffle and Anne Detective Agency is not hired for this mystery.
But isn't that weird? Just another weird
crazy.
fucking cosmic moment.
Well, that leads me into my tiding, which is also, it's a little bit of an attenuated cosmic moment, but I still think it counts. As I've previously mentioned on the show, I absolutely love to check the messages that we get on the Best Friend Party phone and that we get at our email. By the way, if you want to message us, the phone number is 703-829-0003. You can text or call us and leave us a message. I personally love it. So if you want to make me, Meagan, happy, please do it. I don't care what you send. I'm having to gas. Anyways, that's how we got the mystery that Raffle and Anne helped us solve. Heather and Mark. And Heather's so small, cute and small, but works in a big building. And by the way, the backstory of that mystery is that letter from Mark to Heather was found in a copy of a book purchased from a thrift store in Appleton, Wisconsin. So once again, the thrift store gods have shined their light upon this podcast. So Adrienne from NYC found a wonderful letter and a copy of the Malago Beanfield War. And she said this is like, she loves the movie version of it. And she was walking through the thrift store. She wasn't going to buy anything, but ends up seeing this book and thinking, I love that movie. That's her cozy movie with Robert Redford. I've never seen it. And she's like, I'm going to buy this book. So she buys the book, goes home to crack it open, and a note card falls out with the following message written inside. My dear bear, you've heard the expression,
First of
does
all,
a bear...
Right off the bat, I'm sorry. My dear bear?
I know.
Cosmic connection?
Yeah, get into it. Get into it because this letter hits every note of the Text Me Back podcast.
What the hell?
From start to finish, this was drafted by God himself for Lindy and Meagan. Get into it. Okay. My dear bear, you've heard the expression, does a bear shit in the woods? Well, I'm sure you've pooped out in the wilderness, but up until 2 days ago, the same was not true for me. Until that is my long and painful drive from NB to Alpine. Okay, just quick note from me. I looked these up. I don't know what NB is or where Alpine is, but this person does seem to be driving through Texas based on some other context clues in the letter. So if you do want to solve the NB to Alpine mystery, feel free to message us. But anyway, carrying on. I must have picked up a bug somewhere. When I was about 30 miles past Ozona, I started to get really painful gut cramps. I kept hoping it would subside, but it just kept getting worse and worse. I was praying, please let me make it to a convenience store or a Dairy Queen. Nope. I finally exited on 349 for Iran and Sheffield to look for a place to go. Had to pull over, way over, next to a mesquite shrub. Opened both passenger doors and dropped my pants. Oh God, I'm sorry. The pain was so great. I was trembling.
Oh,
I,
poetry.
I left behind quite a bit of DNA.
The killer.
Thankfully, she's the killer. Thankfully, no one drove by while I was easing my pain. What a euphemism. I was still so humiliated. It really shook me up. I called your dad, and when he answered, I blurted it out. OMG, I had to pull over to the side of the road so I could poop. Then he says, hold on, you're on speaker. Ugh, that man. Why he's always got to do that. That's what she wrote. I'm not doing something weird. She wrote that. She wrote dat. Do that. Anyway, well, I feel better now. It didn't last long. I'm at the Johnsons now, and they're taking really good care of me. I love you, my little bear. Love, Mom. Here's the best part. This lady's handwriting looks exactly like your mom's handwriting. I wrote Adrian back and was like, I'm dying. This looks just like Ingrid's handwriting. It was so good. I just wanted to share it.
I mean, I think Ingrid would have no hesitation
Oh, it's
to
totally
shit in the
thing.
woods if she had to.
That's right. I actually don't think she would be humiliated to just like evacuate on her bowels on the
No.
side of the road. I think she'd
She
be
would
like,
be
it is what it
clinical
is.
about it. Also,
Yeah.
an avid outdoors woman. She's
Yeah.
shatted many times in the
Mhm.
woods. I love the quick thinking of creating a little dressing room with both of the doors.
Me too.
I wonder
Mhm.
which direction she faced. I would face toward the car. I would hold on to the running board. What's that
Interesting.
called?
Mhm.
Whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I would let it out.
I like that. I love the specificity of trying to get to a Dairy Queen. That's one of my favorite parts of the letter because it's like, here's why I like it. Dairy Queen has seen it all. You know, if you sell that much lactose,
Yeah.
like that's where you want to go.
Well,
Where's the place that has the most milk? Because people are having the worst shits after Dairy Queen, I'm sure. So I just love that her mind was like, yes, I must go to where.
yeah, it's a place that you're least likely to be judged
Yeah,
for
I think so.
absolutely exploding your ass in the bathroom. I was going to
Yeah.
say this sounds more like something that happens on the way away from the Dairy Queen after you've been to the Dairy Queen. Not on the way to Dairy Queen.
You're like 5 minutes away from the Dairy Queen and you're like, we got to go back. Something's gone wrong.
My second thing that this reminded me of, and sorry to spring this on you, but it reminded me of another famous story from college. And I don't know if you'd be willing to tell that story.
I would. I should think of a name for her.
Yeah.
I had a roommate in college, and I think there's a 100% guarantee that she does not listen to this podcast, but still, for safety's sake, we'll call her Jingleheimer. And I don't laugh because that's actually pretty close to what her actual name was. And we were not like enemies, but we didn't really have that much in common. And she grew up kind of sheltered in Eastern Washington. I think she was like homeschooled for a big chunk of her life, but also the high school that she ended up going to only had like 18 kids in it or something. Like, and by contrast, our high school, Garfield, had like 1,600 people. Like, her parents never let her watch TV.
None of this is her fault.
It's not. It's really not. She also had a sleep disorder. So she talked in her sleep, and she would say some really wild shit. And one time she sat straight up in bed, stared right at me, and said, "I don't have any friends except Jingleheimer." And then she went back to bed. And I was like, okay, I love to be an adult out of my house.
Did you tell her about that? Does she know that
I
happened?
did. Yeah, I did tell her about it. And she was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Don't you want to go to the doctor? What the fuck?"
Also, are you okay? Do you want to hang out? Like,
you good? Like, do you really not have any friends?
I'm sorry.
Except Jingleheimer? You're a Jingleheimer. You know?
I mean,
anyway,
it is very actually evolved to be your own friend. That's something that I'm working on myself.
It's important. It is really important to give yourself positive self-talk and take care of yourself. That's true. So maybe she just was ahead of the curve on the Goop stuff.
Exactly.
Like Brene Brown Goop stuff.
Exactly.
So anyway, she had never really watched TV. I brought our TV to our dorm. It was a little 13-inch VCR TV combo.
Nice.
Gang, gang. And I mostly used it to watch Comedy Central. I don't think I ever turned it off Comedy Central. It was just on reruns of SNL at all times. So I come home from class and she's watching TV. She was watching SNL reruns. And she turns to me and she goes, "Meagan, have you..." I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this.
Do it.
She
you
goes,
can do it.
She was dead ass. Turns to me and goes, "Meagan, have you ever heard of a product called Oops, I Crapped My Pants?" And I was like, I thought she was doing a bit, even though there's no way she would have known what a bit was, you know? So I started laughing and I was like, yeah, yes, I've heard of Oops, I Crapped My Pants. It's an SNL skit. And she goes, no. I was just watching regular TV and an ad came on for Oops, I Crapped My Pants. And like 2 old people were in it. And I was like, Jingleheimer, it's a skit from Saturday Night Live. It's not a real product. She was insistent. She was like, "No, I saw the commercial. And they said, oops, I crapped my pants." And I was like, "It's a skit about adult diapers. It's not a real product." I was like, "Were you watching Comedy Central when the commercial came on?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't remember." And I was like, "Do you remember if there were any skits happening before or after the commercial?" And she's like, I'm not sure. And I was like, "Do you really think that somebody would make a commercial for adult diapers where somebody pours a gallon of iced tea into the diaper and says, 'Pretend this iced tea is a gallon of your feces'?" Is that what you think happened? You think that's what, and then you think they named the product Oops, I Crapped My Pants?
Meagan, I saw an amazing documentary today. It's about a monkey scientist who takes care of a monkey named Mr. Peepers.
I also saw the best show on PBS. It's called Dog Show. There's a dog named Mr. Bojangles, but he's really a girl. I just was like, Jingleheimer, no. And I swear to God, she did not believe me for the entire school year. And YouTube didn't exist, so I couldn't look it up and prove it to her. I was like, you could find old SNL scripts online at that point, but there wasn't a video function. There was no way for me to tell her. I just was like, you are gonna have to believe me that there isn't a real product called Oops, I Crapped My Pants. And there's not a real commercial where they pour a gallon of iced tea pretending it's feces into an adult diaper. Goodbye.
I want to watch TV with Jingleheimer. Sounds like a magical life. You know?
Wherever she is, I hope she is watching lots of TV. And
with all her friends.
Yeah.
I wish her well as well.
And good tidings to you, Jingleheimer.
And if your bear or bear's mom who shit on the side of the highway in Texas and then told everyone over speakerphone because that man, he's always got a doodat.
He's always got to do that.
Get in touch.
703-829-0003. Pod tax. Oof.
I gotta know who he was with when it was on speaker. You know what I mean?
I know. It's weird she left that detail out.
I know.
I want to know too. If you know, give us a call, 703-829-0003. Excellent tidings.
I mean, let's just end the episode. That was
I know. That was
incredible.
We lied about the brainworms. We'll catch you next week.
You know, at the top of the show, we were talking about how awkward we are when people ask us what this show is about. And my problem specifically, you like to say, oh, the show's stupid, never listen to it. You should petition Jeff Bezos to get it deleted from the internet. Whereas I draw a blank immediately and I can only ever think of one thing that the show is about, which is snakes. And then I end up saying the show's about snakes, and the show is not about snakes.
We almost never talk about snakes. It's like the Jimmy Kimmel bit where he says, thank you to Matt Damon, but we ran out of time. That's us and snakes.
Yeah, it's like What Up with Dat, a real talk show where they have Lindsey Buckingham on.
The real Lindsey Buckingham. It's not Bill Hader in a wig.
I'm just constantly teasing snakes. And we've barely scratched. I mean, obviously Freakaconda is a friend of the show.
Rest in power, Queen.
Rest in power, Queen. But generally, snakes rarely appear. I haven't even told you guys my top 3 favorite kinds of snake. And I'm not going to do it yet. I'm keeping that.
I feel like we teased that in the first episode ever. Like we were like, we're going to rank all the snakes. Yep. And then we just never did.
Nope.
Keep waiting, suckers.
But this week, we're coming through. We are living up to our promise. And we do have a snake of the week this week. This week's Snake of the Week, huge star, but blasted onto the scene like a juggernaut, took the world by storm, America's sweetheart, absolute star of the Met Gala. Snake of the Week is the worm that ate part of RFK Jr.'s brain.
Woo! Woo! Go ahead, girl. Eat that brain, sister. We love her. We love the worm.
If you haven't been following this story, presidential candidate RFK Jr., who claims to be the only candidate with a good brain.
Yeah.
I mean, he and his followers are very condescending about this, actually.
The thing that's happening is that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are respectively the 2 oldest people who have ever sought the presidency. And RFK Jr. is like, not me though. I'm super young, and I like to hang out on Muscle Beach and like do chest presses with like, I don't know,
the
Hulk
Liver
Hogan
King
or something. Yeah, the Liver King and Hulk Hogan. And it's like, but he's 71, so I don't really understand what the argument is. I was like, I don't know. I think that Joe Biden could do push-ups, right? I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, so it's very funny. He like presents himself as like has the mind of a steel trap. But then he willingly announced to the world that he has brainworms.
Nobody asked.
It's like he sent out a press release.
Hey,
being like,
FYI.
Attention media. A worm ate a part of my brain.
And then died in there.
So just want to let you know. Goodbye. Catch you later. Catch you on the flippity flop. See you at Muscle Beach. My brain got eaten. I have literal brain worms.
No, I am not dropping out of the race.
He's picking up the key worm brain demo. It's like, why would he drop out now?
In fact, I'd like to announce my running mate, the dead worm that ate part of my brain and then died.
She's eligible.
It's vote junior/worm 2024.
I looked it up. I was just curious why he got the worm, and it's not really clear where the brain worm came from. I know where his figurative brain worms come from, and that's online online misinformation about vaccines. That's where his figurative brainworms come from. But I figured he would be blaming, I thought genuinely he'd be blaming vaccines for his literal brainworm, but I guess not. But he also got mercury poisoning. So I guess theoretically, maybe he got the brainworm from eating too much fish. And that's how he got mercury poisoning and a brainworm.
One time I bought a piece of salmon to cook at my house and there was a little worm in it. And I had to pull it out with tweezers and then I still ate the salmon. Sorry.
You have a brainworm.
It was expensive. I would love to have a brainworm.
Of the single issue voter demo that RFK is going after, the issue is brainworms.
The issue is, if I could just figure out how to communicate with my brainworm and delegate some of my responsibilities to it, honestly, what's the downside?
Exactly. If you could be like, Janine, can you take over the executive function because I'm sleepy? And then maybe the little worm could be in there just like pulling little nerve endings and making my hands type.
Yes.
You know, that could be
like a ratatouille.
Why would I kill Janine if she's helping me do my job? You know, flourish, babe.
Here, picture of me looking thrilled, happy and content and at peace. Picture of me being wormatouille'd by Janine. It's the same picture.
It's the same picture.
But here's my thoughts about brainworm. Okay. First of all, I love the unforced error of announcing to the world that you have a brainworm. I'll never like anything more than that. Like,
I love it.
Was there like a whistleblower at the worm clinic and he's like, I gotta get ahead of this?
Well, as per usual, as is our custom, I didn't really read the article.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it came about, but I'm obsessed.
And I will never read the article because I'm more into what can happen.
Whatever you and I come up with. Yeah, whatever you and I come up with here today, 10,000 times better than how the worm story actually came about.
Precisely. I was fed and I don't know, I can't remember if this was before the worm announcement or after, but I did recently get a video in my algorithm about how you shouldn't use tap water in your neti pot because you can get an amoeba in the brain. And an amoeba is a kind of a worm, basically. Yes, it's as much of a worm is a snake. So we're going to call that true.
Follow along, please.
I do feel like I'm not a neti pot girl. I was not raised in a neti pot home. And even I know that you're supposed to use distilled water from a jug for your neti pot. But I do feel like if there's anyone that's into neti pots, it's the RFK Jr. anti-vax kind of people.
Absolutely.
Who, by the way, couldn't be more condescending about how much they take good, pure care of their bodies. And then you're the one with the worm in your brain?
You got brain worms? And you're coming at me because I ate a cheeseburger from Burger King?
And got a vaccine? So that I don't die of a preventable disease?
Is that what you're alleging? That I'm a sheep for getting vaccines? You have a motherfucking brain worm that you thought was a brain tumor because it was messing with your mental acuity? And you said, I think I might have a brain tumor, but it wasn't. It was just a worm.
It was in there. It was going nom, 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 on your brain.
On your brain. For who knows how long. You're
Golden
coming after
Corral.
Me because I like Doritos? Okay.
Sorry. You're healthier than me just because I'm Leslie and I have beautiful obesity, which I glorify every day. But you have a worm in your bronio?
You know what's crazy is nobody from Noom or wherever, or the brain clinic, is ever just randomly emailing men being like, don't you want to take care of your brain worm? Ramp down your brain worm meds after you've cleared it up.
Literally, Megs. Okay, so this brings me to my last question about the brain worm. Not my last question, but last one of the day, because how long can we spend on this? Well, forever. Okay. Is the worm still in there? Did they cut open his skull and pull the worm out? Second question, if so, is there a picture of it? And if I have one gripe about brain worms, it's that they're never as cute as I want them to be. It always just looks like a spaghetti noodle.
As you were talking, I scanned the article and I would like to deliver the following quote from presidential candidate RFK Jr. On Wednesday afternoon, hours after this article was published, the article about how he had brainworms, Mr. Kennedy posted a comment on Twitter, quote, I offered to eat 5 more brainworms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate. I feel confident in the result, even with a 6-worm handicap. Oh, am I getting red pilled into voting for RFK Jr.? Am I a single issue voter and my issue is brainworms? Pro?
Okay. If you had asked me in like 2018 if it would be a good thing or a bad thing for all political candidates to travel down a road of trying to be as funny as Donald Trump, I would have said absolutely not. That's catastrophe for our nation and world. However, at this point in history,
I mean, if we're already burning and burnt,
we're already
might
burnt.
as well have a brainworm debate.
It's like he's trying to out Trump, and he's
getting there.
actually doing it.
That's why nobody can take this man down, because nobody has the juice like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Like, nobody has the combination of deranged charisma and, like, I was going to say brainworms. It was Janine the brainworm this whole time. You know, nobody else has that combination of characteristics that people find so compelling. But now here comes RFK with brainworms. He's making a run. He's making a play for the cuckoo bird vote. You know, it could work. It might work. Anyway, to your question, is it removed? Unclear. But doctors ultimately concluded that the cyst they saw on scans of his brain contained the remains of a parasite. He said he did not know the type of parasite or where he might have contracted it, though he suspected it might have been during a trip through South Asia. So I guess, I don't know, could still be in there. Well, but they might have removed the cyst with a little bit of worm in it. So there you have it.
And that's Snake of the Week.
If anyone wants to write us a Snake of the Week jingle, you know where to find us. 703-829-0003 or dear text me back at gmail.com. Not that I want to, you know, exploit our listeners for cool songs, but you all are very talented. So.
I'm so sorry that having a worm eat part of your brain isn't disqualifying for the presidency. And I hope that's not ableist.
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I genuinely don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it shouldn't be disqualifying. I guess we shouldn't need it to be the disqualifier, because there are so many other disqualifying things about this man.
That's right.
This is the best thing about him is that he has a worm in his brain.
The brainworms are not in the top 10 list of reasons not to vote for RFK Jr.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the only reason I can think of to vote for him.
Wasn't there a thing where he specifically targeted his anti-vax messaging at Black people?
Yeah. Well, yes, I think so. And I think a lot of his ads have tried to be very nostalgic for the Kennedys, because they think that will be very appealing to Black voters.
But then remember when all of his relatives made that commercial? They were like, I'm so-and-so Kennedy. Do not vote for that fucking crazy guy.
Okay.
Do not vote for my nephew. He fucking sucks.
So that ad is based on a different, very successful ad. It ultimately didn't take down the guy, but it was based on this ad that the family members of Paul Gosar, who is a representative from Arizona, who was one of the key figures in January 6th, became like good friends with that one guy, Ali, who had to go into hiding because he was like, here's how we're going to try to overthrow the government. And Paul Gosar was like, yeah, I love it. But before that, when he was just regular Tea Party crazy, his family made an ad where it was revealed that they were all like Paul Gosar's siblings and cousins and stuff. It was just very interesting. And here's why. Here's why. Is because I was watching this ad and I was like, this is so weird. All of these people in this ad look like Paul Gosar. But there's no reason why anyone should know who Paul Gosar is, except he was on the same committee as my boss when I worked on the Hill. And so I used to have to sit behind him like once a week. And I was like, this guy's a freak. And he always would he hated abortion, obviously, but he would try to use the fact that he was a dentist as like a reason why he knew more about healthcare than everyone else. It's like, man, this guy's a prick. So then this commercial comes out and I was like, that's so funny. All these people look like Paul Gosar. And then at the end, they're like, we hate our brother, Paul Gosar. And it was winning Final Jeopardy for me. I was like, yes, I knew it. I knew this was about Paul Gosar.
Okay, here's what we got to do. We got to find all the friends and family members of the worm.
Yeah.
To make a commercial being like, we're Janine's family and we fucking hate RFK Jr.
He took our mom.
Yeah. We would never eat his brain.
Oh, man. Well, I just got to say congratulations to Janine on her incredible victory. Snake of the week. You did it, babe.
You did it, babe. So we have a couple of announcements. It's time for God's board. God's needs. God's needs, God's list. We got to do a quick God's board because we got two very important special announcements. Okay, so if you're not subscribed to our Patreon, let me tell you, it's the only way that this podcast exists. We are not being paid by any institutions. We do not have any advertisers. We are not making any money. We are volunteers.
That's right.
And by the way, this is our very first week transitioning out of being 100% independent, where Megan and I are doing literally everything. And we are moving into a new era with two beautiful produceristas named Allie Slice and Michaela Phillips. Allie's going to be taking over editing and mixing. Michaela's going to be doing a little bit of potential ad sales, and we're going to see what we can do with this thing. But in the meantime, we need your support on Patreon to keep this podcast going. We love doing it so much. We love the Text Me Backlights so much. And if you subscribe to our Patreon, you get lots and lots of extras. We have two new Patreon exclusive announcements that we're so excited about. The first one is that Megan and I are best friends. And Megan and I are both tattooed badasses. And we love to get inked.
We're freaking Dave Navarro up in here.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we thought, you know what two best friends who love to get inked need? A matching tattoo. And then we thought, what should we get for our matching tattoo? And then we thought, what if we turned every part of our lives into content, as is the modern way, and we let the Text Me Backlights pick our matching tattoo? So
that's right.
Here's our idea. You can submit anything you want. It's very broad. You can submit just a concept, like you guys should get a tattoo of a frog riding a horse. Or if you're an artiste,
Hang on. Contest canceled. I think we nailed it. Frog riding a horse.
I won the contest.
Yeah, you won the contest.
Oh my God, I get a free Patreon subscription. That's not the prize for the contest.
No, it's not.
Okay, so you can submit an idea, just like, you guys should get a freaking tattoo of screenwriter Brian Daly, a portrait of screenwriter Brian Daly. Or if you're an artiste, you can draw a design and say, I think this should be your tattoo, my specific tattoo design. And here's what we're going to do. Anyone can send in an idea. And if you send in an idea, like a concept, then Megan and I will find an artist to draw it if that's the ultimate winner. Megan and I will whittle it down to a group of finalists, and then our Patreon subscribers will vote on the winner, and then Megan and I will get the tattoo that you all picked.
That is correct. And the winner of the design challenge will win a signed poster from us. And maybe some candy.
And maybe
as well.
Maybe a few other goodies as well.
Who knows what you might get in the mail?
Who knows? And I just want to say one caveat. This is not legally binding. And if we change our minds, we are allowed to chicken out.
And you're not allowed to be mad at us. And you have to keep subscribing to our Patreon. Thanks so much.
You still get the prize. But I would say, at least as far as what's in my heart, I would say I'm at a 99.9% likelihood of getting the tattoo for sure.
I will get a tattoo of anything. I don't care.
Yeah, I truly don't care. So I can't imagine.
I guess I technically care, but not really.
What is this? What is this vessel,
as Lindy said, it could be anything. Stuff from the lore would be like amazing. Maybe you have like a funny drawing of Kayak Dad. Maybe you have a nice little Lord of the Rings image in mind. Anything like that. We're down to see it. We'd love to see it.
Yep.
So you can email it to us, deartextmeback@gmail.com.
Yeah,
You can text it to us.
Put tattoo in the subject line.
Put tattoo in the subject line. You can also text it to us at 703-829-0003.
And use the word tattoo somewhere in the text so that we can search for them and look at all
God.
the ideas. Isn't that fun? Isn't that exciting? And then if you want to be able to vote and have a say in what Megan and I get permanently drawn on our bodies, you got to sign up for the Patreon.
That's the Kayak Dad level or above.
Yes. Sorry, Donkey Fight Club. It's Kayak Dad and above. That's our first piece of news. Very exciting news. I am so excited. Megan, do you want to introduce our second piece of news? This was your idea?
It was my idea. Well, there's one thing that I've noticed that the planet loves, and it's when actors and or writers go back and watch beloved projects they were involved with.
Now, we used to call this a DVD commentary.
We did used to call this a DVD commentary.
We don't have that anymore, which is so fucking stupid.
Quick digression. If you're a youth, can you make physical media come back? I feel like you guys did a really good job of bringing back vinyl, and I want more Blu-rays. So please help me. Anyways, so we had the idea of rewatching Shrill, a Hulu original written by Lindy West. And there is one episode that we both were in, although I feel like I have a whole backstory for my character. She got murdered after the pool party, was never heard from again. And nobody bothered to like investigate what happened to her. And that's why she never came back. That's my character's backstory.
Okay, we should write a spinoff, by the way.
What happened to those three girls at the pool party?
Yes.
So we're going to rewatch Shrill. I'm using the word rewatch very liberally because, as I've admitted to Lindy, I never watched season 2 or 3. So it'll be a rewatch, new watch for some of us.
And I haven't watched any of it. I haven't watched any of it in years.
Yeah,
probably 4 years. So I'm excited. I'm so curious to hear what you think. I have lots of behind the scenes details and tidbits, and we're just going to go episode by episode, and we're going to be putting them up on the Patreon. So
ideally weekly or every other week, we'll be putting up our breakdown of a given episode, but you can't watch it unless you subscribe to the Patreon, which is patreon.com/textmebackpod. It's going to be really fun, so don't miss it.
Yeah, so the first one, we're going to post it in, I would guess, sometime around the beginning of June. So get ready, get subscribed, get signed up, get prepped, and watch along with us.
Yeah, let's say first week of June, and if you have a funny name for it, you know where to find us.
Please send us your puns. So, yeah, please join us. Please sign up for the Patreon. It is so cheap. Look, yesterday I went to the grocery store just to pick up a bag of salad and a piece of fish to cook myself for dinner. I left that place having spent $111. What the heck?
That happened to me. I went and got my Jimmy Dean's, a Caesar salad, and a thing of tortellinis, fresh tortellinis. $100.
Don't get me started. I know. So please, like $3 a month for all this joy, and to know that you're supporting independent artists and helping us to pay Allie and Michaela so that Megan and I can have a little tiny bit of our lives back, since we also have other full-time jobs. We need you.
I'm so tired. I'm so sleepy. I'm not tired because of the show. I love her and I love talking to you all, but the video, very exhausting, folks.
Megan spends like 80 hours a week editing video.
It's so that I actually do love it. But please support our podcast.
We love you so much. Thank you.
Love you, legends.
Thank you so much for listening to Text Me Back. If you like the show, please tell your best friend about us. Be sure to rate and review us. It helps people find the show. And most importantly, please support our Patreon so we can keep making this. It's patreon.com/textmebackpod. Text Me Back is a production of Megan and Lindy, proud members of the BFF Network. Our senior producer is Megan Hatcher-Mays. Our other senior producer is me. Our show is supported by Co-Pilot Collective and produced by Allie Slice. Our digital strategist is Chance Nichols.
Diana Bowen is our video and creative wizard. Our production team includes Lindy West, Megan Hatcher-Mays, our loves, our anxieties, and our fears.
Our music is by Chief Ahamefule J. Oluo.
Special thanks to our perfect angels, Jeannie Yandel, Brandy Fullwood, and Isolde Raftery.
I'm Lindy West.
And I'm Megan Hatcher-Mays. See you next week. Mwah!